This is the Genesis G70 3.3T Sport. That means it's the best one that you can get. And it comes with some extra stuff like a limited slip differential, Napa leather seats, heads-up display, those types of things. The point is that I know that you can get the 2-liter turbo with the manual transmission and the sport model with the LSD, all the good stuff, but we're talking about the big guns right now. This is the 3.3T, 365 horsepower, 376 pound-feet of torque in an incredibly refined sports sedan. This thing is so good.
And you know what? This is a good-looking car. It has some of the best proportions I've seen in a sedan in a long time. But back to performance. Power is coming from a 3.3-liter V6 with 2 twin-scroll turbos. It's a very refined power plant that delivers torque very quickly and very smoothly. The G70 shares this engine and many components with the Kia Stinger, but the G70 has been designed to be smaller, lighter, and sprightlier. Think the Rock back then versus the Rock now. While you can get a rear-wheel drive G70 manual with an LSD, which by the way is about the best news I've heard ever, you can also get an LSD on the all-wheel drive G70. You can't get that in the Stinger. As you can see in Exhibit A, as I try to power slide the Stinger in my most recent One Track Mind episode, the Stinger will just light up its rear inside tire, and you can't really get it sideways. The G70, on the other hand, has a proper mechanical LSD in the rear in all-wheel drive form. So that, coupled with the other differences, is shaping it up to be the sportier of the two cars.
Having driven the Stinger on the track quite extensively, I can tell you with confidence that this car is everything the Stinger is, but I would say 10% sharper in every way. That's how it feels to me. The Stinger's a lot more GT-ish, and this is a lot more sports sedan. I'm beyond blown away with the G70. Check this out. Sport mode, back road, paddle shifters, down into third. Unbelievable torque. Available at 1,300 RPM. Listen. Oh man. It's incredibly planted, okay? The sport suspension in this is adaptive, and it is a lot, I would say, stiffer than the Stinger. It's not stiff by any means, but it is stiffer than a full-blown GT car. Even in comfort mode, you can tell there's a little bit more solidity to the way they design the suspension. Okay, and I like that because that's kind of my style. Oh man, the front end is really sharp. The steering is not as heavy as I would like it to be, even in the sport mode, but it's incredibly direct, okay? You turn the wheel and it goes exactly where you want to point it. I think that the steering ratio is a little bit sharper in this than the Stinger. To be fair, I like this steering. It's not my favorite steering, but I like it better than a lot of BMWs. And I'm a BMW guy. That's saying a lot coming from me, trust me. The powertrain is just excellent. It really, really is. There's just torque available to you when you want it. And the sound coming through, you can actually go into the menu and adjust the amount of synthetic sound being pumped through the speakers. It's not bad. It doesn't sound artificial. You can increase the volume or decrease the volume. I know that might be cheesy, but it's really, really not when you're driving the car. It just makes the car exciting to drive. It makes a good sound. It's not a 2-liter turbo. I drive too many things that have 2-liter turbos. It's so nice to be in a good sounding V-shaped engine. This is such a good car, seriously. Honestly, the only downside to this car is that you do not have a little badge on the front that says BMW or Lexus or Mercedes. And that's genuinely a problem for some people. I get that. I'm a huge fan of BMWs myself. And I would have to genuinely sit there and think, okay, am I actually not going to get the G70 because I want a BMW? When it comes to comfort, it does that too, okay? I've got everything that I could conceivably ever need in this car. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna complain about a few things, and you can assume that everything else that I didn't mention is absolutely perfect, okay? Let's do it that way, because it'll be shorter for you. So, I don't like the shape of the steering wheel. I think that like the Stinger has a circular roundel in the center here. This has an oval shape. and it just doesn't quite look as good as if they made a circular center for the steering wheel. That's about it. Yeah. Okay, to be fair, there are a few other things that start to bother me after a while. In sport mode, the side bolsters here tighten up around you, which is really cool. But I find these seats, it actually took me 3 days to figure out why they were so uncomfortable. I found them really, really uncomfortable until I actually found how to adjust the side bolsters and tighten them up, because that's a key part of the lumbar support in these seats, I've found anyway. So I have them all the way tight. And when you put the car in sport mode and then take it out of sport mode, what ends up happening is it opens the bolsters up. And then I have to retighten them. I can't figure out how to go into the menus, the like 4 different menus there are, and stop that from happening. I don't know. If you turn on the hello and goodbye song, which is laughable, honestly. It's hilarious, the tune that they picked. When you turn the car off, the music is still playing on your radio, which means that it instantly clashes with the little tune they play when you're getting out of your car, which is irritating every time. But thankfully, you can turn that feature off. Anyway, that's my only real issue, I would say, honestly, with the ergonomics of the car. The driving position is perfect. The materials are absolutely excellent. The buttons are laid out perfectly. Climate control is easy to use. 3 knobs. We've got fan. And this one has automatic climate control, so I just push auto and it's been perfect all week long. I've got ventilated seats and heated seats in the front. The infotainment is incredibly easy to use. We've got a volume knob, a physical knob, and an entire set of really clean looking, high quality buttons to actually get me to the different screens, which is what I always want. Never take that away from me, because I hate going through menus in a digital screen to find stuff. And this is the same system we find in most Hyundais. So, I mean, it's really, really intuitive. It's very basic. It looks clean. I would say that if I was going to complain about one thing, it would be that this is mostly operated by a touchscreen, and in my seating position, it's a little bit far away. I have to lean forward just the tiniest little bit. And how dare they inconvenience me so? The armrests are in a perfect position for me. I'm incredibly comfortable driving this car once I figured out how to use the seat. I've got tons of headroom. The headliner, by the way, is Alcantara, and it looks fantastic. I'm not a huge fan, personally, this is subjective, of the black and red diamond pattern on the stitching on the seats and stuff. There's other options, obviously, but I mean, that's not my favorite thing that I've ever seen. But the dashboard looks fantastic. There's leather covering all the surfaces. There isn't any material up here that I can touch that feels low quality. Full stop. I mean, the window switches are kind of low quality, but otherwise nothing. The dials do not look as expensive as the dials that you would get on a Mercedes or a BMW or an Audi. They really, really don't. There's a digital screen in the center, but it is still, I would say that's the weakest point visually of the interior, is those dials, but they're easy to read. So, I mean, well, ambitiously, the speedometer goes all the way to 300 kilometers an hour, so it feels like the speed's kind of crammed in where you're going to spend most of your time to look. However, I can put speed on my heads-up display and I can put speed on my center screen here, so that's not a problem at all. Now, I've got 12.2 liters per 100 kilometers average. That's with a lot of city commuting. That's not very good, but we have in a big, heavy sports sedan, so it's only going to get so good. Back to the driving experience, though. This transmission is really good. I wouldn't say that it is as good as what you can get in a BMW right now. It's not quite as fast, but it is very, very close. And if you haven't driven a BMW, you wouldn't care or notice, right? It's only because I've back-to-back these, essentially, that I can say this isn't quite as crisp, shifting-wise, as what BMW is doing with their transmissions right now, but it's not an issue. It's fast enough that in automatic mode, that you're never going to be without power, even in comfort mode. And what's really cool is that I can switch the drive mode over to Smart, which is going to keep me in a drive mode. See, it just opened my bolsters up. That's uncomfortable. I don't like that. Anyway, I'm in Smart mode right now, and if you really start to put your foot down, it downshifts aggressively and puts you over into sport mode. It actually has a little bar that says economical or aggressive, depending on how you're driving. So just leave it in smart, and it will put you in eco mode if you're driving economically. You're like, you know what, I'm sick of this traffic, kick it off into a back road, and it puts you in sport mode, okay? It doesn't leave you in sport mode long enough. I found that if you are kind of balancing the throttle through a high-speed corner, it will put you back into economy mode in the middle of the corner, which isn't cool. It should be able to say, okay, dude's going around an on-ramp at this speed, and this is how much steering lock there is applied. We should probably leave him in sport mode. But no, it kicks it right back down into eco, which I'm not a big fan of. But just put it over into sport mode with the dial. Everything lights up red, suspension sharpens up, steering weights up, bolsters come in and hug you, and you're off. And it becomes a really fun car to drive. Now, obviously, I can't explore the limits of this car on a back road like this, but pretty much the same drivetrain as in the Stinger, and I can tell you that it feels rear-wheel drive on the track. And with the LSD in the rear of this, I would imagine it feels like you can get a hint of it when you turn into a sweeper pretty quickly, that there's definitely a sense that the front tires do not want to let go. There's no detectable understeer at any speed that you are going to hit on the road ever, hopefully. Right, going into a sweeper like this, push, 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 and the front just bites, and the steering is so sharp. It just brings you in exactly where you want to go. I'm placing this car with absolute precision going down these sweepers, and it is just fun. It's just fun to do. This car gets a lot of looks, actually. I've noticed that. I haven't been in a car in a while that gets as much kind of either, there's two versions. It's, what is that? Or, I know what that is, very nice. Some people just think that it's a good-looking car in general, and they're right. I think it looks a little bit like an Alfa Romeo Giulia, but from the side anyway. But it's definitely a car that is striking to look at and striking to be in the inside. Any person that I've sat in this car, they go, wow, wait, this is a Hyundai? Well, no, it's a Genesis. Genesis is making a name for themselves that I'm starting to respect very greatly because of cars like this one. So, the Genesis G70 3.3T Sport, this is a tremendous car. It really, really, really is. If you're shopping for a sports sedan, you're looking at BMWs and Mercedes, please go drive a Genesis G70. You might talk yourself in to not having the BMW badge on the front of your car. My name is Thomas Holland. Make sure you check out the rest of my YouTube channel. Check out my One-Track Mind track review series. I recently did a Kia Stinger versus a Mustang GT on the track. You need to watch that, you really do. I also do a lot of car builds. I'm a time attack driver and a driving instructor, so I've got lots of on-track stuff coming your way.
Subscribe right now and hit the notification bell and you'll catch lots more car reviews like this one. Welcome to Throttle House.